Hello, everyone. Welcome to BlogHer 2012. Welcome. Today, we open our 8th annual conference for more than 5,000 women who blog and use social media with a very special guest. I'm Lisa Stone. I'm co-founder of BlogHer, along with Elisa Camahort-Page and Jory Desjardins. Since 2005, we've been calling attention to the fact that women who use blogs and social media do so to talk about everything from pop culture to parenting to politics. And this election year, our community has delivered a very clear message to all candidates for office. Please come talk with us about the real policies that affect our everyday lives. Today, we're going to have an opportunity to do just that, and I'd like to hand the pleasure of making the introduction over to my beloved co-founder who made all of this possible, Elisa.
Thank you. Thanks. Hi, everyone, and thanks, Lisa. As you probably know, BlogHer is a nonpartisan organization. I can assure you that every election year, we reach out to both campaigns, the Republican and Democratic campaigns, and to the candidates specifically, to speak at this conference and to publish on blogher.com. Governor Romney was unable to join us at this event, but we do look forward to hearing from him soon. And now for our special guest today. Since election 2008, when then Senator Barack Obama did a BlogHer video interview and First Lady Michelle Obama started a blogher.com blog, President Obama and his administration, and now his campaign, have been listening to women across our network and social media, where women are telling their stories about how issues like healthcare, the environment, education, and of course the economy are being lived in their lives every single day. Today, it is my honor to introduce the official opening address of BlogHer 12 from President Barack Obama live via the internet. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President, for the respect you are showing to voters and to this community in particular by being with us.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lisa, and thanks, Elisa, for inviting me to speak today. And Michelle says hi. I know that at some point she'll have a chance to be with all of you. And I just want to congratulate everybody on what I hear is your biggest conference yet. You know, even though I couldn't be with you in person, I wanted to say thank you. Because like every father, I think about the role models that are out there for my daughters, and I worry about what they'll run into online, honestly. So the fact that Sasha and Malia can go to places like BlogHer and find thousands of women who are writing about subjects from health to family and food and politics and careers, it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to Michelle. Now, some of you may have heard there's an election coming up, and women's issues are front and center, as they should be. But I think the conversation's been oversimplified a little bit. I bet anyone who spends a little time at your conference would realize pretty fast that women are not a monolithic block. You're not an interest group. You make up more than half of our country and nearly half of our workforce, not to mention 80% of my household, if you count my mother-in-law. So, for me, any discussion of the issues women face begins with my own life story and the women in my own life. There was my mom, who was a single mother who put herself through school and made sure my sister and I earned our educations too. There was my grandmother, who worked her way up from a secretary to vice president at her local bank, even though she hit a glass ceiling and watched men she once trained pass her by. When Michelle and I got married and had our girls, we were giving it our all to balance raising a family and pursuing our careers. And we wished we had a machine that would let us be two places at one time. And of course, as a father, the highlight of my day is asking my girls about their days. So, when I think about what's been most important in my life, it's these amazing relationships that I've had with my mother and grandmother, my wife, and my daughters. And what drives me when I step into the Oval Office, every decision that I make is making sure that all of our daughters, just like all of our sons, are growing up in a country that gives them the chance to be anything they set their minds to, and a country where more doors are open to them than were open to the previous generation. That's why the first bill I signed was the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, to help protect your right to equal pay for equal work. Now I want to strengthen those protections. And that's why we've extended more loans to women-owned businesses. That's why we've cut taxes for small business owners 18 times. I also want to keep small business taxes low in the future. That's why we've enacted education reform that's helped more than 2.3 million more young women afford to pursue higher education. And now I want to make sure even more can afford to go. And because of the new health care reform law, Obamacare, I happily accept the term. Millions of young women are going to have coverage through their parents' plans. Children with pre-existing conditions can't be denied insurance. Tens of millions of women with private insurance now have access to preventive care like mammograms and are beginning to gain access to contraception at no additional cost. Pretty soon, insurance companies will no longer be able to deny you coverage because of pre-existing conditions like cancer or pregnancy, or charge you higher premiums just for being a woman. So I'm not going to give any ground to those who would deny women their own health care choices. Behind every one of these policies is a pretty simple idea. You, women, should have control over the decisions that affect your health, your lives, your careers. And if you share that belief, then I think you'll agree that the choice women face right now in this election could not be bigger. On the one hand, you have folks who plan to turn back the clock and promise to take away access to health care and contraception. They talk about getting rid of vital services like Planned Parenthood. They're planning to spend trillions of dollars on new tax cuts weighed towards millionaires and billionaires. And just yesterday, an independent, nonpartisan organization ran the numbers. They found that in order for my opponent to pay for his tax plan, he'd have to cut tax breaks that middle-class families depend on to pay for your home or your health care or to send your kids to college, which means the average middle-class family with children would be hit with a tax increase of more than $2,000. On top of that tax increase, my opponent plans to also gut education programs that help low-income mothers, student aid that disproportionately benefits young women. So this overall is what I consider a wrong approach. It's not how we're going to grow this economy. It's not how we're going to build the middle class. We can't afford to refight the battles of the past few years or the past century, for that matter. And that's why my plan would move us forward by cutting taxes for the middle class, investing in education, protecting equal pay, and making sure your health care is there for you when you need it. And I'd pay for my plan by asking people like me to go back to the same tax rates we paid during the Clinton years. So that's the choice we face as a country. And even though we're dealing with some big challenges right now, I've never been more confident that the ability to solve our problems is entirely within our grasp. If we choose the right path, I'm absolutely confident we're going to restore the sense of economic security that ought to be at the center of American life. We'll create an economy that works for everybody. We'll open up new doors of opportunity for our daughters as well as our sons. We'll build our middle class. We'll grow this economy, not from the top down, but from the middle out and from the bottom up. And that's not just good for women. that's good for all of us. So thank you so much for the opportunity. We appreciate you. Michelle says hi. The girls say hi. Bo does too. I hope you guys have a wonderful conference. Bye-bye.
Can I tell a little story, real quick little story about how we met? We were both political bloggers in the 2004 election. I blogged it for the LA Times, and Elisa was blogging for the Santa Clara County Democratic Party, trying to teach them how to use the internet. A mutual friend of ours, a guy named Mike Early, was so overwhelmed by feedback from us on how exciting blogs were and how many women were writing blogs, and oh my gosh, you can't even believe it. Thank God I left print. Thank God I left broadcast. You know, you were going to totally change Democratic Party. He knew both of us. We didn't know each other. He got so sick of hearing us that he insisted we go on a girlfriend date. He was like, that's it, I'm done. You have to meet her, and I don't want to hear anything else because I'm tired. So I had just heard Kevin Drum at the Washington Monthly ask the question, where are the women who blog? And I was frustrated by this question because there were millions of women blogging everything from immigration to, you know, how to raise a toddler, even though my son was older than that by then. And so when we met for coffee, I was so impressed. Elisa was so articulate and so smart, just rocketing off her seat talking about the value of blogs to the political system and how it could fundamentally change the information voters could get directly from candidates. That I asked her, I'm like, I've had this crazy idea for a conference. What do you think? What do you think?
And I said, I would go to that. And then I just said, we should just do that. Why don't we just do that? This is our first date, remember? And she was like, okay.
And that was it.
And then in about 2 weeks, when we realized how hard it is to do a big event, I was like, oh, I met this other cool woman.
And she knows something about sponsorship.
I'm like, let me give her a call and see if she wants to do this with us. And I called Jory, and I'm like, hey. And she's like, I'll help. And that's really how it started.
So it all started with the fact that we absolutely love and care about politics and absolutely love and care about every single voter's voice and access to the candidate. And so we just want to thank you for helping us make history, because I don't think that President O is speaking at another conference of bloggers this year that I'm aware of. And thank you for helping us create the kind of environment on our site that make it possible for candidates of all stripes to speak at an event like this. So let's get this party started.